Hello, Southwest Florida homeowners and homebuyers. Welcome to the 239 Real Estate Roundtable podcast, your go-to source for navigating the vibrant real estate landscape of our beautiful region. I'm your host, Kevin Tremmel, a local real estate agent, leader, and investor here in Southwest Florida. On this podcast, we bring you insights from best in the business, top-notch real estate professionals, seasoned agents, and experts of everything from homeowners insurance to mortgages, maintenance, and repairs. Whether you're a first-time homebuyer or a seasoned homeowner, we've got you covered with tips, strategies, and valuable insights to make your journey in Southwest Florida's real estate market a breeze. Get ready to unlock the doors to successful home ownership. This is the 239 Real Estate Roundtable podcast, where we demystify the process, share insider knowledge, and ensure you're well equipped to make informed decisions. Let's dive in. Hey, everybody. Today we have a very special guest. His name is Jeff Schmidt II. Jeff is a realtor in Southwest Florida with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services in Naples, Florida. Jeff has been a Naples resident since 2001, and he has an in-depth knowledge about this area. Jeff is also part of a family team with his mother, Linda, and his father, Jeff Sr. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. Appreciate
Awesome.
you guys.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy day. So, Jeff, I think it's always good to get started, kind of let the audience know, like, what's your real estate story? How did you get into real estate and why?
So yeah, my family moved down here in 2001. I am more of a Floridian now than I am a New Yorker, so I kind of joke around about that. But I've been here. Went to Laurel Oak, went to Oak Ridge and North Naples Middle, and then Gulf Coast High. So I've seen this area grow up firsthand. Getting into real estate, I actually followed my mom and dad's footsteps in that regard. My mom has been an agent since 2007. So she had been doing it since I was in high school, and I watched her grow and excel in the real estate business. And then I actually saw her on the TV show House Hunters, and it made me want to go into that even more. So I got my license in 2014, and I've fully been in real estate since 2017, since moving back to Naples. I'm also a firefighter in the area, so I do real estate and firefighting full time.
Yeah, and so got your license in 2014. You've been doing it full time since 2017. What made you choose, because I know you went to UCF, everybody can see that. What made you choose Southwest Florida for real estate and not, maybe Orlando area or even somewhere else?
Just growing up here and seeing how beautiful it was. And it's a little bit different than some other parts of Florida. It's a little bit slower, I would say, and it's not as fast paced. So I kind of like that. And I also looked at my future and a spot to raise a family. And I thought, what better place to raise a family than where I grew up? I was really lucky. I tell my parents this all the time, to move from New York down to Naples. And I just couldn't imagine living anywhere else at this point. Yeah. When I had moved up to Connecticut for a couple of years after college, I was like, what am I doing up here shoveling snow? I could be down by the beach, down in Naples, and just all those kind of key points, the quality of life. And obviously, I know a lot of people have probably seen this, but we were just ranked as the number one place to live in the country. And it was just a no-brainer for me to establish myself here as a realtor in Naples and Southwest Florida in general.
Yeah, that makes sense. When do you think, because I feel like Naples has always been on the radar, but it's always been also like a hidden gem for a long time. I feel like that's really changed now. Like you said, we just got ranked number one place in the United States to live. So I feel like 15 years ago, 20 years ago, nobody really knew that much about Naples, unless obviously, the snowbirds. But when do you feel like that's really changed and really exploded and really picked up?
I think right after kind of the market crash, I think it really started to pick up. I know my mom kind of got her start in like foreclosures and short sales. And I think just all the activity that was happening around that time, I think people were trying to move down, and some of the properties were a lot cheaper than living up north, especially with taxes and everything. So I think people seeing that, people come down and visit vacation, they had their grandparents or whatever down here. And once they come down, people just fall in love with the place. And I think following that and COVID as well, I think that was a big thing. But I think beginning of the 2010s was a big turn for us.
Right. Yeah, and then I think COVID gave the final push.
Yes.
know a lot of, as far as like policies, I know a lot of people were drawn to Florida just because it's just a lot more relaxed than in other places in the country. But what would you say you most about living in Southwest Florida? I mean, people move here from all over the country, probably even all over the world for many different reasons, whether it be golf or boating or whatever else. But what is it for you? Like, what do you like most?
I love to golf. That's definitely, I live on a golf course. So I'm lucky enough to live on one. So that's one of my, definitely my passions on my off days when I get the chance. Me and my friends will go out and play around. I also love boating. One of my best friends is always out on the water. So I'm constantly doing that with them. And then just I mean, you can't really beat the weather. I know it's really hot right now, but
Yeah.
when you have those months from November to like early April, usually it's pretty unbeatable when you just you kind of pinch yourself and you're like, wow, I really live in this
Yeah.
beautiful area. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny that you say golf is one of your passions, because for me, it's the complete opposite. So you and I, maybe a beer at the bar, yes, but you and I golfing probably will never
Probably
happen because my
it takes a lot.
no, like my memories or my association with golf, my dad's a big golfer, and like my association is every summer break, I would visit my dad in Naples, right? And he would drag me out to the golf course in 95-degree weather.
Yeah,
And as a kid, all you want to do is be in the ocean, pool, play video games, eat junk food all day kind of thing, right?
exactly.
But
Yeah.
my summers were more like, let's go golfing. Yes, like I said, 95-degree heat. And I always try to explain to people, and I'm sure you've had that same experience, like everybody can kind of throw a ball or kick a ball, whether it be soccer or football or baseball, but golfing, in order to play the whole round, like you really have to be good. Like you can't just, oh, let me play a 9 course. Like you
Exactly.
practice and be good. So for me, I had my golf fix very early on, and it probably did it for the rest of my life. So
Wow. Okay. See, I
that,
kind of I wish I would have started a little bit earlier. I'm starting to get better now that I've been playing more. Obviously, that just it makes sense. The more you play, the better you're going to be. But it's definitely not like pickleball. You can't just walk on the court and be
yeah,
great at it. You have to be there and practice a lot. So
practice, yeah,
yeah,
work, swing and technique and whatnot. But
yeah.
and then I think one thing everybody's wondering as well is, and be honest, we don't have to show this to mom and dad, but
Okay.
how is it to work with mom and dad? I worked for my dad a couple months, and yeah. So how is it for you? Like, how is it working with mom and dad?
I'm really not sugarcoating this. I swear, I'm really blessed to work with my parents. I have such a great relationship with them. Like I said before, it's a blessing to work with them. We actually live in the same neighborhood in North Naples, Heritage Greens, and as I touched, I'm a firefighter, so if I'm on shift for 24 hours and my customer needs something that I can't get to right away, I can always count on my mom and dad to kind of fill in that gap and help. Whenever they have a client or I have a client, I always introduce them and say, hey, the Schmidt Happens team is going to be in your corner. We're going to do everything for you. That's a tagline too that we
Yeah,
definitely embrace. People tend to remember Schmidt Happens. I always get some chuckles out
yeah,
of that. But yeah, it's really great. I wouldn't have it any other way.
yeah.
I know, it's great.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, Schmidt Happens. I saw that when I was kind of researching you guys and prepping for this episode, and really cool, really, really creative. So that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
So as far as like, real estate market, what trends are you seeing right now in Southwest Florida real estate?
I think things are, well, after we just saw this last market report, I think things are starting to move a little bit faster. I know for us at least, things are sitting on the market a little bit longer, and we've seen a lot of price improvements. And I think that's just kind of happening. The election's coming up. Obviously, there's some uncertainty about what's going to happen with realtors moving forward. So it's going to be interesting over the next couple of months to see what happens. But I think we're very fortunate in Southwest Florida that we're in a unique situation where things are always going to consistently move and people want to move down here. So I just see the market continuing to be strong here in Naples and Southwest Florida in general.
Yeah, for sure. Now, over the last year, ever since rates have increased, which I think it's been like for 18 months, I think Fed started, but what have you seen as far as demand for properties in Southwest Florida? Has it been pretty consistent, or have you seen a big decrease?
I've seen a decrease. Typically in our neighborhood, we have an average listing days on market, probably around 30 days. But I've seen a lot of things hit that 2-3 month period. We're typically busier in the summertime, actually, compared to the wintertime, just because a majority of our customers come from the Northeast and they try to come down in the summer instead when it's a little bit cheaper to come down. And I feel like a lot of people think they're going to get better deals when they come in the summer, just to kind of, they miss that kind of push, and people are maybe looking to reduce their homes. But yeah, I think it's definitely been a decrease over the past year at least.
Yeah. I mean, you probably agree with this. Like Naples has gotten like, or south of Florida in general, but more so Collier County. I feel like it's got less and less seasonal. So, really seeing, I mean, I'm sure there's a bump, but like, are you really seeing the traditional, oh, now it's season. Now we have to sell all the homes before everybody leaves again. Are you kind of still seeing that? It sounds like not really.
I totally agree with you. I think it's not as seasonal. I think people are definitely establishing their home base here, especially with people being able to work remotely now. I think people are coming down here. They're working from a coffee shop. They're working at the beach. And I think people are more inclined to stay down here, especially with the rising costs of everything. I just know from experience talking to customers up in New York, New Jersey, for instance, they're paying astronomical tax rates and things of that nature. And they're able to sell their homes for a significant price up there and then pay cash down here. So it makes sense for them to move down and stay down. And a lot of them still have the opportunity to, if they go up and visit, they can stay with family or whatnot. So they don't have to have that second home as much as they probably would have had a couple of years ago. So I definitely think people are staying down. And I see it from a fire perspective as well. We still are running a lot of calls in these months. So I can kind of correlate the two with call volume and the amount of people that are here, even just on the roads. Obviously, the roads are a little less dense now with school being out, but I still think it's really busy.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I know that's been a challenge, right? Like Southwest Florida in general, it seems like it's growing a little faster than maybe the infrastructure can keep up. I mean, obviously, you can't really blame the counties as well. You can't just build a road like in 2 months, right? That stuff takes time. But has that been like a challenge for you and some clients, and what are you seeing there?
It definitely has. For instance, we just listed a home out by the fairgrounds, and a big problem with our customer was that they're coming into town working, and it could take them 45 minutes to an hour just to get into town on Immokalee Road.
Yeah.
It's a huge problem that I think we need to kind of fix here. I think we're building a little too quickly for the infrastructure. I know Vanderbilt Beach Road is a huge project that's going on now. But I'm a big proponent. I'm a big environmental proponent as well, but I think the Estates needs another exit out by I-75. I know Pine Ridge is going to have a diverging diamond coming here in the next few years. That's supposed to increase traffic flow and reduce accidents and things of that nature. So that's good. But I definitely would like to see the county fast forward some of these infrastructure projects just to help some of the people out east, because it can be a nightmare in the morning, especially with school and everything going on.
Yeah, well, especially because you have a lot of commuters from Lee County too. So
exactly,
in the mornings, it's not just like east to west, like people that live in Collier going into Naples is also north to south.
Oh yeah, north to south is crazy too.
Yeah, so anything would help. So at my house, FDOT built like one of those diverging diamonds. Have you ever seen one like in person and how it works?
I believe the one in Sarasota, I've driven around there, and it's pretty cool. It's kind of weird at first. You have to like, am I doing the right thing here? But I think once people that live there get used to it, it's probably a good thing. But yeah, it looks pretty wild. Just from I was watching a few animations on YouTube just to see how it works, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is like every once in a while, you'll drive there and then you'll see somebody just not do the right turn, and it just gets dangerous pretty quickly. And you're like, yeah, they probably don't live here. Because it's weird. Like first time driving there, you're like, oh, where do I cross and this and that? And it's
second guessing yourself. I'm going to the other side of the road right now. That's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. And everybody's honking and all stuff. But and then with you being a firefighter, and I know you said when we were chatting before, your dad was a firefighter in New York, so you guys get quite a lot of like referrals and generally a lot of business out of the northeast, friends, referrals, all that. When somebody approaches you, what are kind of some of the most popular or sought after neighborhoods in Southwest Florida right now that you're seeing? Like, do you have a couple go-tos that you can shed some more light on?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the neighborhood that my parents and I live in, Heritage Greens. We love it just because of the low HOA fees. You're not paying for golf. It's one of the few public golf courses here in Naples. So you're getting the golf course vibe without paying the fees that some of these country clubs some of them charge some astronomical rates. And it's nice to be able to have that feel without paying into it. And this is a neighborhood that we like to farm just because we both live here, and they do a great job with events and food trucks and things of that nature. So it's a good neighborhood for every type of demographic, whether you're have a young kid or you're settling into retirement. For families, especially, just because the schools are right there. A lot of families just walk right over to Laurel Oak Elementary, or if you're in high school, you're riding your bike or able to walk to school. So it's definitely in a great location, especially with all the new businesses that are coming to this area, especially 951 and Immokalee. That corridor has a lot of new restaurants and things that are there and then still being built. So it's really in a really good spot. Yeah, basically anything in North Naples we're selling up. We love just this area in general. As we were talking about before we came on, Naples Park is a great spot too, just because it's close to shopping, the beaches. It has great rental potential. People are always verboing and Airbnb there, vacation rentals, or it's just a great place to live and grow up. It's also in a great school system as well. So there's so many different areas here. It's kind of hard to pick and choose one, but we give the full scope we ask our customers what they're looking for, and then we base it upon what their needs and wants are. So,
of course. And then, yeah, Heritage Greens, what I like about it too is it seems like there's, what you said, kind of demographic for everybody, but there's something in there for everyone, right? Whether they have townhomes, some like attached villas, a single family home.
exactly.
So whatever, if you want like less maintenance, less yard, maybe you're retired, perfect. You want some more yard, you have kids, you're growing family, single family home, like perfect. And do you know how I was driving through there the other day? I was wondering, maybe how many units are in there in total? I know
There's over 500 units, but yeah, like you said, you pull into the neighborhood and you have your single family homes. And then once you make that turn, it's a little bit different. It's not like a cookie cutter neighborhood, that's for sure. Yeah, it's just overall, I think there's something for everybody there.
Yeah, for sure. And then Naples Park obviously being attractive because it's one of the very, very few neighborhoods that's like west of 41 without an HOA, unless of course
exactly
like moorings and all that, then
yeah,
it's another price range all in its own, of course. But I feel like most of 41 west of 41, it's mostly you got Pelican Bay, which is obviously all HOA and like just a lot of HOA stuff. So if you don't like that vibe, then Naples Park is definitely a good area there. And like we said off camera before, Naples Park, one of the probably over the last 10 years, I mean, one of the areas that's made the most like change, right? As far as average
huge strides.
and average price. And I feel like hurricane kind of accelerated that because a lot of investors swooped in and bought some damaged homes, and now they're building very nice homes in there. So definitely been evolving ever since the hurricanes. So how do you see, we talked a little bit about the history, so to speak, of Naples, how when we were growing up, like in August, you could pretty much walk on 41, everybody would leave, and it was just a ghost town. And then obviously we talked about COVID kind of really people doing more like home base here rather than just, oh, this is our vacation home. Where do you see the journey going over the next, call it 5 years or so?
I think it's just going to keep going up. I mean, when people come down here, they want to be here. And then with all the growth that's going out east, I think new towns are being formulated as we speak. We see the growth of Ave Maria just in general in the past 5 years. It's incredible to see how much that's grown. So people are willing to live out east and doing that. We're kind of seeing it like the East Coast, where west in some of those areas that aren't close to the beach, they're still thriving. And I think out east in Collier County, there's going to be multiple thriving neighborhoods. And that's just going to keep driving people to living down here, especially with some of the lower taxes and no state income tax as well. That's definitely a huge proportion. I know I was paying 9% state income tax when I was living in Connecticut.
Yeah.
I just felt like I was burning money. So being able to come down here, establish your homestead, and get some of those extra tax breaks and things of that nature, I think it's pretty awesome. It's kind of unbeatable. I know I'm biased, but I couldn't imagine living anywhere else.
Yeah, man. Same here. And then with Ave Maria, I was there. When was the last time you were in Ave? Do you go out there much?
I golfed. My friend lives at the National, so I take advantage of his friends and family reciprocals out there.
Yeah,
gotcha. So I was out there probably about a month ago, right before my honeymoon. And it's crazy to see the growth out there. Yeah. And then the other neighborhoods leading up to it, like Sky Sail and things like there's the new Publix. There's a Publix like a mile and a half away, and they're building another one. Yeah. It's just going to be crazy with the growth.
Yeah. I always heard of Ave, it's been obviously it's not new, but I've always heard of it. And then I have a friend that lives there. So probably 5-6 weeks ago, I was there for the first time. And I didn't come from the Naples side. I came from the north side.
Okay.
Because I live in the county, so it was just 82 and then the LaBelle area and Immokalee. So I came from the other side, but I was driving there and I'm like, dude, this is in the middle, like there's nothing. They're basically building a town, and then like you get there and it's like Babcock Ranch. It's like you get there.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's like, whoa, they have a town square with restaurants and
restaurants, bars. The church is beautiful, the focal point of down there. It's really cool.
Yeah,
it is. It's kind of wild to see like a whole town just be like built from scratch.
Yeah,
and that's what we've seen from Naples too, though.
Yeah,
just with the growth, like especially in my area where I live, with Logan Boulevard extensions. Livingston Road wasn't a thing in the North End for a while, and it's cool to see it.
Yeah, it is for sure. And I was like, damn, I'd live out here. I mean, the prices are nice, but I was also driving there like at night. So like I said, it was just like, I know what to expect.
You're like, what am I doing right now?
Yeah. I was like, where am I going? And then you pull up, like, oh, this is cool. Like, half the price for a house out here than what you're paying in your neck of the woods. Sign me up. So that was pretty cool to see. But a lot of growth happening, obviously. And with growth, I mean, this has kind of been a problem all across the United States, but I feel like in Naples or Collier County more so, just because Naples and Collier County has always been a luxury market. So I'm sure you would agree, it's just getting harder and harder for local Naples people like you that grew up finding something that they can actually afford in Naples, whether it be a first-time home buyer or maybe even like a move-up buyer. It's just getting harder and harder, especially in Naples. Everywhere in the country, but I would say especially Naples. So how have you navigated that, and how have you kind of like helped people? I know there's some nice loan programs out there and some ways to make stuff more affordable. Like, how have you handled that?
Yeah, so it's actually really been tough for people. I was lucky enough to buy my first place in 2020, but I was living with my parents at the time and just saving up money, and I was able to put a down payment down. So that's another reason why I'm so thankful for them as well. A lot of people don't have that luxury, and I'm really blessed in that regard. But when I work with firefighters, they have a what's called the Hometown Heroes program. There's no money in it right now. It should be hopefully refunded here in the next month. But I was working with somebody in January where they basically, it's down payment and closing cost assistance. The gentleman put zero money down, and it's basically like a second mortgage on the home. And once you sell the home, you're responsible to pay it back, but it at least gives some buyers that don't have that money to put down an opportunity to buy homes, which I think is awesome. And I obviously, as a firefighter, I think it's great just because the cost of living is so high, and we don't make as much money as some of the other careers around here. And it's obviously a very important career. And then I was also talking to my friend, AJ Duca with Mainline Mortgage. He's got another conventional loan that just came out recently. That's 0% down as well. You have to have like a 620 credit score to be able to qualify for it. But there are options out there for first-time home buyers and people that don't have this exorbitant amount of money to put down. So there are options, and it's a case-by-case basis. And that's why I think going with an experienced realtor is so important, just because they can give you those options and give you other avenues to maybe make your first home purchase, or even your second, or whatever you're looking to do. So
Yeah, and the nice thing, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's I haven't done a hometown hero program, but I think a lot of those programs where it's zero down, and you mentioned second mortgage, a lot of people get turned off by that a little bit, but you're not making any payments on that grant, right? And it's interest.
correct.
When you sell
Yes.
it, when you sell the home, yes, you have to pay it back, but a free loan, like you're not paying interest. You owe them
Correct.
20 grand today, you're not going to owe them 25 and whatever, 10 years or so.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. So that's
Yep.
good. Yeah, that's good. And then with the conventional, you said conventional zero down?
Yes, he was telling me he has an option for that. I don't have every single detail with that in front of me, but it's another option for people as long as they have a 620 score. It's basically like the Hometowns Heroes, where you're paying that back once you sell the home. It's like a second mortgage as well.
Okay.
So, but it's just another option that people can have. So,
Of course. And then, you alluded to this earlier. Nowadays, homes are sitting a little longer. Homes have more price improvements than they had 2 years ago. And by the way, just for everybody listening, when in the real estate term, when we say price improvements, we're not talking about price increases. We're talking about price decreases. I just want to.
that's a very good point.
Yeah. And then, of course, one thing that I've seen a lot as well is seller concessions, right? And that makes it a little bit more affordable for a lot of buyers as well. When I represent a buyer client, I always try to negotiate seller concessions over sales price, just because I feel like for first-time home buyers, for most people that use financing, like a $5,000 seller concession is going to have more of an impact on your upfront cost and your rate buy down than $5,000 off the price of the home, because as you know, on a 30-year mortgage, $5,000 off the price of the home is like $10 a month.
Yeah, nothing.
So that's a strategy that I've found pretty helpful. It just gives you more bang for your buck, and of course for the seller, it's the same amount, right? Whether they give it the price of the home or seller concessions, it's for them, it's the same bottom line. Or even when I work with sellers and like we counter, and they're asking like for all this money like off the price of the home, we just counter with half in seller concessions and explain like, hey,
that's the way to go.
Yeah,
That's great that you do that, because it actually helps them in the long run. Especially like you said, $10 a month isn't going to really make or break your payment. I'd rather have that in a concession than off the price of the home. So that's a great point.
And then Jeff, so we're about halfway through 2024. What are some of your goals here for the rest of the year, as far as personal, production, you name it, whatever you want to share?
My goal is to always, when somebody's in need, I want to help them. I don't have any specific goals in terms I have to sell X amount of homes. I think that when you start doing that, you might get off the wrong path. I mean, some people, it might not, but I just think selling homes and doing it the right way and getting people what they want. Obviously, that's what every agent wants to do.
Most of us, at least.
Most of us. Yeah. There are people that just say, yeah, you should do that. But our team really will be honest with you and say, hey, I don't think this is the right opportunity for you. This might be a little bit more of a payment that you want, the HOA, or maybe the financials that we look at in a community aren't great. We'll look at everything for you and kind of pinpoint you. And try to not influence your decision as much, because we want you to be happy, but we want to make sure that you know everything before you're making your decision. My goal is to just continue to sell and bring more people to this beautiful area. So.
Yeah, man. Yeah, sounds like you don't want to get hung up with the dollar signs, but rather focus
exactly
on wants and needs. So that's a good answer. And then people listening, we have like a wide range of home buyers, home sellers, but also agents and newer agents. You've been doing this full time for about 7 years now, like for a decade. So from someone like you that's been doing this for a minute, what piece of advice would you give someone that's just starting out in the real estate industry as a new agent?
I think really doing your homework on what brokerage you want to belong to, I think is huge. I know a lot of brokerages have like a 0%, that you get to keep your entire commission. That's great. I'm all for that as well. But then I think really the biggest thing is finding a mentor within that brokerage. There's a lot of information to digest as a new realtor, and you don't get an appreciation for it while you're doing your schooling and taking these tests. It's kind of a total 180 once you actually get into the business. You're not really worried about Broker Bob,
Broker Bob, Seller Sally. Broker Bob and Seller Sally. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not really worried about them as much. Hopefully you're with a brokerage that knows how to handle their brokerage and they can give you advice. But I think having a mentor that you can actually watch live and they can help you walk through contracts and the little nuances that you really don't get within the schooling. I think that's everything in this business, especially because there's so many different realtors down here, as you know. So what makes you stand out is just knowing the ins and outs and having that backbone and feeling confident when you're talking to people. So mentorship, and I'm lucky to have my mom. She's, like I said, she's been doing, when she first started, she was doing the foreclosures, the short sales. She went through the ringer to start, and it's made her the agent she is today. I think she was willing to do it when others weren't. So get on board with a good brokerage and a mentor, and you'll be off to a good start.
Yeah, 100%. And I think one important thing that you mentioned, and I think it's very similar to college, right? Like when you have a college, when you graduate, you think like, oh my God, everything, it's all gonna be so easy. But a real job, it's so much different. Like you don't really learn, I don't know, it's just, you don't learn what you need at the job. And it's the same with real estate school.
You don't. Yeah.
Learn just a lot about law and the basics, but you don't really learn how to generate leads and how to convert.
Exactly.
And you don't learn that. You learn more the contract stuff, right?
Yeah.
Broker Bob. And that's a good point. And then I just had this conversation with someone that just got licensed. Like you said, right? There's a lot of zero split, keep 100% of your commission, pay us per transaction kind of stuff. And he asked me like, well, should I just join someone like that? And I was like, well, I wouldn't do it in the beginning because, even if you find a brokerage, call it like, I don't know, an 80-20 split, like 80% of 10 transactions is better than 100% of 4 transactions. And the 20% goes to, it's a good brokerage. It goes to, a certain amount of training and support and that kind of stuff versus the 0% you pay them doesn't go to anything, obviously. So I think in the beginning, I'm right there with you. Give up, like you should be willing to give up a little bit of your commission in form of a split in order to get some experience and knowledge and things like that.
For sure. And I'm definitely not talking down to those companies. There are some great ones that offer a ton of mentorship and all that. For me, it was an easy decision just to be with my family. So just do your homework is my advice.
Yeah, no, of course. And then to kind of wrap it up. So of course, we'll link all your socials down below. But if someone wants to reach out, buy, sell, invest, new agent wanting to join BH, how can they get in touch with you?
So our website is schmidthappensinc.com. That's where you can find my mom and I, all of our contact info, but I'll give out our phone number real quick just to be, my phone number is 239-293-4125. And my mom, Linda, is 239-293-8150. You can also find us on Facebook at Schmidt Happens Inc. by searching for that, or you can find me on Instagram at Jeff Schmidt 9. I'm very tech savvy, I'd like to say. So any one of those platforms, you can reach out to me and I'm more than willing to help you, whether you're looking now or 5 years down the road. I'm willing to help anybody and everybody. So.
Awesome. And Schmidt is DT at the end, just for everybody to know. SCHMIDT at the end. Because me from Germany, I know there's many different ways how to spell Schmidt, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah, there are. I was actually just in Europe for my honeymoon, and there was like probably 5 or 6 different ways that I saw it spelled, and I was
exactly.
Like, wow, so, I didn't really realize that. I guess.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much, Jeff, for your time. I really appreciated it. I think we provided some good value here for our area, and wish you best of luck. Happy selling.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Appreciate you guys.
And that wraps up another insightful episode of the 239 Real Estate Roundtable podcast. I hope you enjoyed our discussions and gained valuable knowledge to enhance your home ownership journey here in Southwest Florida. A big thank you to our incredible guests and of course to you, our listeners, for joining us. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, or if you'd like to connect, feel free to reach out. You can find us on Instagram at KevinTremmel_real estate, on Facebook at Kevin Tremmel Real Estate, or visit our website, kevintremmel.com. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Your feedback is crucial and we're always eager to hear from you. Until next time, this is Kevin Tremmel, your host, signing off. See you on the next episode.